Wraparound with Grace, Alessia, and Maryuri.
So welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the Wraparound. I'm Maryuri.
I'm Alessia.
And I'm Grace.
And we're here to talk about some hockey. So let's get right into it. Some sad news this week with the passing of Jets legend Dale Harchuk, who passed away at the age of 57. You know, he had a really long battle with cancer. And it's really sad to see that he lost that battle. But, you know, he leaves a really big legacy behind himself.
I guess you can say, you can definitely say he was one of the greatest to play the game, you know, drafted first overall in 1981. He has so many achievements. In his rookie year, he scored 103 points, inducted into the Hall of Fame 2001. There's just his legacy is incredible.
And after his NHL career, he went on to be a big part of the OHL too. So he was the head coach of the Barrie Colts before he passed away. And I know that everybody in the OHL really looked up to him. And we're just so thankful to work with such a great legend.
We're sending our condolences to his family. I know they're going through a tough time right now, especially with how everything is right now. It's like doubly as hard. But just sending condolences to his family and, you know, just really acknowledging the great player that he was and the great contribution he had to this game. With that being said, we're going to move into the first segment of this week's show, which is team losses. And not only we're going to be speaking about injuries, but we're going to speak about just some members of the organization that teams have lost, specifically one that have left quite a big hole in the team during this first round of play. We're going to start off with Andrei Svechnikov, who left Game 3 versus the Boston Bruins on Saturday in the third period with a leg injury after becoming tangled up with Bruins captain Zdeno Chara. Looking back at the replay, it looked like a pretty significant injury, but then when the head coach spoke with reporters on Monday, he said that it wasn't as bad as it looked like it did on TV. So hopefully it's not a really big injury that will take up a lot of, you know, recovery time. But if the Canes do manage to keep their series against the Bruins going, which, you know, they're playing the next game today at 4, if they can keep that series alive, it's still really highly unlikely that he will return at all during the postseason. This is a pretty sucky loss for the Canes, especially because Svechnikov did register 7 points over 5 games and averaged over 17 minutes of ice time. So he was one of the Canes' top producing players, right behind Sebastian Aho. And, you know, it always sucks to have someone who produces so much, you know, leave, because he does motivate the team a lot just by producing points. And to see that he got injured, it sucks, especially with the Canes losing right now is 3-1 the series, right? And so it's hard to kind of catch up when you lose one of your top point producers. So let's see what the Canes do today. Let's see what happens and how they can manage without one of their top offensive threats.
Yeah, so luckily for you guys who are listening, you'll already know if the Canes are out of the playoffs or not. But another player that's been lost in this past round of the playoffs is Vladimir Tarasenko. So he had 0 goals and 10 shots on goals in 4 games in the playoffs. And you can compare that to his 10 points in 10 games during the regular season before his shoulder injury. So if you don't know, he hurt his shoulder back in October, and I think it was October 29th actually, where he went in for surgery. And it led to him missing the rest of the regular season. So they didn't actually know if he was even going to be able to play in the playoffs. And he came back from training camp after not playing for 9 months or something. Then this week, he left Edmonton and went back to St. Louis for shoulder evaluation and to be seen by the team doctors. So he definitely wasn't playing full out or wasn't himself in the series. And I think by watching any of the Blues games, you could kind of tell that one of their top players definitely wasn't himself. And a full update will be available on the 24th, so on Monday.
Yeah, like you said, I guess you can say it's a big loss for St. Louis. Like Svechnikov, Tarasenko also plays some big minutes with the Blues. So it's definitely a hole that St. Louis needs to fill. Another person we're going to talk about, a loss, in particular a coach, Like most of you know, last Wednesday, Claude Julien was rushed to the hospital after game 1 of the series against the Flyers as he was having chest pains, which Marc Bergevin announced Thursday during the day during his press conference, which a lot of people didn't know basically why he was doing the press conference, but then obviously the information came out about Claude Julien. Thankfully, it wasn't COVID related, but soon after we learned that Claude Julien had a coronary artery stented and be returning home to Montreal. So, just as hard as losing a player, like a key player to a team like Shea Weber would be, it's really hard losing a coach. These players, like most teams, players want to play for their coach. They put their trust in them. So it must have been definitely a difficult pill to swallow for the players of Montreal. Marc Bergevin also announced that Kirk Muller has taken Claude Julien's spot as coach. And the first game after the incident, the Habs were flying, which was basically what fans were expecting. They want to play for their coach right now. But now, these last 2 games, we're seeing that this team is facing some obstacles. One, not being able to generate a lot of offense. We've seen Carter Hart has had 2 shutouts back-to-back. And Kirk Muller has also been taking matters into his own hands by juggling the lines mid-game, which Claude Julien doesn't really do usually. So we'll see how this team does tonight. I guess you guys will know tomorrow how it went if Montreal is no longer in the playoffs, but it's definitely an obstacle that the team has to overcome.
Yeah, and like Alessia said, it's like as significant as losing a player because your coach is just like it's one of the like most important members of the team. He's obviously not playing, but he's leading the way, and it sucks to see that Julien had to leave, especially for something as significant as like a heart issue, and especially with Montreal falling back against the Flyers. So let's hope everything just gets settled with Claude Julien, and let's see what the Habs can come up with against the Flyers tonight. As Alessia mentioned before about Carter Hart and the amazing performances he's been putting up against the Habs, we're going to talk about some goalies. And if you guys have been listening the last couple of episodes, I think we've spoken about goalies like in an insane amount. I think people know how much we love goalies on this show. And so this next segment is talking about a goalie dominated first round.
So we aren't going to talk about Korpisalo.
No, not today, unfortunately.
No. We showed him all the love. We have to show some other goalies some love too. So we're going to start off with Semyon Varlamov. Okay, first I guess we have to have a little formal apology to the Islanders because we kind of underestimated them last week. Even though we said that we did mention that they did have the ability to sweep the Capitals. We still kind of underestimated them, but the Caps did win last night, so we just have to keep updated with that series and see if our prediction was right or wrong.
But the wraparound jinx is still real, guys.
Oh, it definitely is.
But the main reason why they've been winning their games is because of their goaltender. So Grace, if you want to talk a little bit about Mr. Varlamov.
Of course. So yesterday, when they lost in Game 4 against the Caps, Varlamov actually snapped his 4-game winning streak. So before the regular season ended, he was on a 4-game losing streak. So when he came into these playoffs, people were really surprised at how well he was doing and how he was kind of helping that team out in a really significant way. So he was definitely an underrated goalie coming into the playoffs. But a little bit of information about Varlamov and the Islanders is that Lou Lamoriello actually chased him around for a bit and then signed him in free agency. So Lamoriello was talking about getting him for a while and wasn't able to, and then finally caught his fish in that free agent frenzy. So he's got a 4-year, $20 million contract with the Islanders. And in his first season with the team, he had a 2.62 goals against average and a 0.914 save percentage. So not awesome numbers, but they were pretty good. But those numbers are why people kind of looked at him and went, what are you going to be able to do for us in these playoffs?
Yeah.
Of course, these playoffs were really a fresh start for him, and it just showed his true potential and what he can do.
The Islanders have been playing quite an incredible game lately, especially like Grace was talking about how Varlamov just has been on a roll. Sadly, that streak ended last night, but we never know. They could surprise us. I mean, they've surprised us so far, so we can't underestimate them anymore. But another goalie that's also been on quite a streak is St. Louis Blues goalie Jake Allen. And Jake Allen has been around for, quite a long time. He's been a starter for, I think, most of his career. But with St. Louis, they did have Jordan Binnington in the net for quite a while, especially since he led them to the Stanley Cup win last season. So he was obviously their most reliable goaltender. But Jordan Binnington did lose those first 2 games against the Canucks. So, of course, St. Louis was going to go for a change and see if anything would happen. And as luck would have it, something did happen, and Jake Allen has been able to pull off 2 wins to tie the series against the Canucks. He's faced a total of 64 shots and only allowed 3 goals. He leads all goaltenders in goals against average and save percentage, which is pretty incredible to think that he just, came off the bench and has won these last 2 games for the Blues to tie the series against the Canucks. And last episode we were talking about how that wasn't going to be one that we were going to be watching, but that's one of the only series that's tied. So once again, we were a little bit wrong there. Either way, Jake Allen has been a really big force again in the net for the Blues, and he will be starting in net today for the Blues again. So we'll see if he can keep up his hot streak and keep the Blues playoff hopes alive, especially if they want to win the Cup for a second year in a row.
Yeah, putting Jake Allen in net was definitely a big change that, as we saw, it helped the St. Louis Blues a lot. So now we'll move into a guy that we've talked a lot about, even last episode. And
I think all the episodes we've talked about Carter Hart.
I was about to say that. I think we've talked about Carter Hart every single episode.
I was surprised when we were talking about the show beforehand, and Maryuri said that Alessia was going to talk about Carter Hart and not Maryuri. Because I'm pretty sure that that's Maryuri's new obsession. The Leafs are out and Carter Hart is in.
Okay, ever since the World Juniors, I've been like, I've just been obsessed with Carter Hart just because he's such an incredible goaltender. I knew that if I give myself Carter Hart, then I would just talk about him like nonstop. And since Alessia is an avid Habs fan, I thought it was appropriate to put Hart in her hands today.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you guys said, he's been exceptional. 2 straight shutouts against Montreal. His save percentage right now in the playoffs is .958, which for a 22-year-old is incredible. Last episode, he was 21. Now he's 22. He's been great. We saw him get pulled in Game 2, which I was thinking at first, what is this going to do to his confidence? Because, he got pulled right in Game 2 in between all the stuff that was happening. But he bounced back. And he played great the next 2 games. The shots that he's faced in the last 2 games haven't been too dangerous, as Montreal's having a tough time generating offense and getting those high danger chances. So that's not on Carter Hart, that's on Montreal. And Carter Hart stood his ground. Philly's they're playing kind of like a trap style now. They're defending more and then waiting for Montreal to, make a mistake in the offensive zone. So, like the other episodes, like I've said before, he's very calm. We've seen him that he's building up confidence. He's starting to play the puck around the net, which is exactly like Price, his idol. And, if the Flyers do advance after this round, it's going to be huge for him. Carey Price is his idol, and to say that he beat his idol in the first round of the playoffs will be amazing for him and amazing for the Flyers as well going forward.
And not only is it great to see him, play so well against a team that can really score, as we saw in the second game. But the Flyers really haven't been producing a lot of goals. It's been pretty tight wins.
And even in that, like, they haven't had any like highlight reel goals.
No, not at all.
And so, like, for him to protect those really tight leads, which is hard. It's hard to keep those tight leads, especially when you're only winning by a goal or 2 goals. And we saw that in the Columbus Leafs series where, like, you never know what can happen. 3 goals, 4 goals, that lead is never enough. So it's great to see that he's keeping those tight leads for the Flyers, especially when their offense hasn't been producing as much as they should and as they usually do. So, yeah, all these goalies have been playing extremely
I was gonna
well.
say in game 1 and game 3 of the series, I think he faced a lot more shots that were more like high danger shots.
Mhm.
He did an exceptional job keeping those pucks out of the net. Now these last 2 games, well, especially last night, so game 4 of the series, Montreal just wasn't good. They couldn't generate anything, and he still held his ground. So he's gonna be great for the Flyers going forward.
Yeah, he's definitely now, I feel like, the face of that franchise. He's definitely like someone that they're going to rely on for a good time. And like you said, if they could win against the Habs and move past this first round, that's going to be huge for his career. And, it's only the beginning for him. If he can lead this team to more and more wins, people will start to respect him some more and really see him for the goalie that he is. And so, since we're speaking about goalies, this is the perfect segue into our next segment, which is our weekly audience engagement, which is something we introduced last week, which is super fun because we get to include you, our listeners, into our weekly episodes. So this week, our question was, are you surprised at Tuukka Rask's decision to opt out of the remainder of the NHL playoffs? Alessia, if you want to reveal our results.
So our results on Instagram were that 40% of our voters said yes and 60% said no. On Twitter this week, we got more voters. and
it's funny because Alessia texted me and she's like, should we put the question on Twitter since last week we only got 2 votes? I was like, just put it, like, you never know. We might be surprised by how many people answer. And I think pretty much all of our followers
I think we actually got more votes than we have followers. So that one did pretty well this week.
So it was pretty awesome. And so, Alessia, what were those results?
So 29% of the people who voted said yes, they were surprised, and 71% said they were not surprised.
And I'm surprised at those results because once again, me and Alessia were also discussing how we thought that I feel like we thought that this was going to be an obvious answer to the question, that like everybody was just going to say yes, that they were surprised. But
I was going to say no.
Oh, really?
I said no.
Yeah, I said no too.
I don't know. I feel like I was half and half. I feel like you can't really predict those things.
I was surprised that it happened because it was so sudden, but I wasn't surprised why he did it. Like, I wasn't surprised at his decision because it makes sense. If your family's involved, it's really hard for these players to be away from their families for so long and to have like no chance to go visit them or anything. And apparently it was a medical emergency with one of his daughters, and he has his wife and a newborn daughter at home. So it really didn't surprise me that that's what he chose to do, and he wasn't just going to stick it out and stay in the bubble.
Was it not related to, because I was reading an article, it said that it wasn't because something was going on with his family. It's just because like he wanted to go back home.
No, he said on a radio show the other day that it was a medical emergency with one of his daughters. He just wouldn't expand on any details, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
I think I know which tweet you're talking about, Grace. So the person who runs it said, Tuukka got a phone call from his wife inside the bubble regarding an emergency for his daughter who needed medical help. Tuukka wanted to rush to be with his family at that time. So that's what came out today. And, I have to agree with Grace. It was a surprise because of how sudden it was and how quickly, he left the bubble. But at the same time, this is very hard for players, especially those with young kids who are leaving their spouses to care for them alone, And yes, guys like Tuukka Rask are hockey players and their job is to play the game. But just like any other job, if something's going on with their family and they need to be there, they should have that option to leave and go take care of their family.
Especially with his wife just giving birth to their 3rd child. Of course, that's going to put a tremendous strain on him, because who wouldn't want to be around their newborn child? And I know there's plenty, quite a few guys in the bubble right now that do have newborn kids. But if there's also that added worry about, one of his other daughters having, a medical emergency, then of course it makes sense for him to go back. When I had first read an article saying that it wasn't related to anything medical, then I was like, I was like, okay, it's hard to kind of grasp the idea as to why he wanted to leave so suddenly. But now that, since you guys mentioned it, of course, it makes more sense. But I don't know. What do you think his team? How do you think his teammates are feeling? How do you think other players in the bubble are feeling?
I think that his teammates have to be really understanding, especially for a guy like Tuukka Rask, who's been on the team for so long. He's gained lots of respect from his teammates and from players around the league. So there's no way that they can argue with it, because I'm sure the ones who have kids would kill to be there for their kids right now. Really, but they can't, and they understand that they're doing their job. But I'm sure that any player in the league, if one of their kids had a medical emergency or one of their spouses had a medical emergency, they'd leave too. This is just the first one we've heard about.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing as Grace. You know, it is a big loss for the team, but Tuukka Rask has so much respect for his teammates, and his teammates also have a lot of respect for him. So now that we're seeing the situation unfold, that it was an emergency for his daughter, I'm sure the team is 100% behind him and his decision.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Rask starting the previous games for the Bruins? No, right? I'm pretty sure it was their other goaltender.
I think it was Halak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that's also what made it a little bit easier for him, I guess, to leave, because he didn't, I guess, have the responsibility of, being their starter. Because obviously with forwards and defensemen, it's kind of, I feel like there's more room to kind of, ponder that question, because you have other players that can replace you. But with a goaltending position, there's like one or two other guys that can replace you. And especially if you're a starter and you have always been their starter, it's kind of hard to say, hey, I'm sorry, but I can't be here for the team right now. So I think maybe it was a little bit easier for him since Halak has been starting the games for the Bruins. But it sucks to see Tuukka Rask go, especially since we just started things, since the NHL just started things up again. But I don't know, should players really worry if there's been lots of negative tests, and should players worry about getting back to their families, or should they just concentrate on the game at hand?
I honestly don't know. I think the way that the NHL is handling it right now is great, with nobody from outside the bubble in the bubble. And I think that's awesome. It's really safe. And the track that they're going on, they should stay on. There's no need to risk it. So if Tuukka Rask does decide to come back, yeah, he should have to do that 14-day quarantine and go through the whole return to the bubble protocol that they have, where they have to do 4 negative tests in 4 days or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that there's still that fear around the whole thing. And why put other players and staff at risk if you don't have to?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like as of right now, I think we're always going to be worried that something's going to happen. And like you said, the NHL has been doing a good job at really protecting the players and the staff, and the hotel staff especially. But, it's a hard situation. It's sad to see Tuukka Rask go, especially since he's been such an amazing goaltender these past few years. But let's see what happens. Let's see if he, changes his mind to come back in. And I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how everything turns out. Speaking of him leaving to be with his family, I wanted to ask this question this week because I felt like it was a kind of fun question. We've been pretty serious throughout the episode right now. I wanted to get, conversation going. So the NBA announced, I want to say a couple of days ago, that they were going to allow family members and close personal friends into the Disneyland bubble, I think between the first and second round of the playoff series. So I don't know. Do you guys think the NHL should be adopting, a similar way of doing things?
I think that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, that's what as soon as I read it, I was like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
It just basically just erases all of the planning they did for the past, 2-3 months.
I think like you said before, Grace, the NHL has done an amazing job so far with all the protocols and all the rules that they've put in place. I don't think they should risk that. They've been one of the a lot of leagues like the NBA, the MLB have been looking to the NHL because they've done such a fantastic job that I don't think family and friends should be let in right now. I mean, even if you think about it, okay, so let's just say the family and the friends are allowed to be in the arena watching the game. And then after the game, you know that you're like, as a player, you know your family and your friends are in the audience, but you could probably not be able to interact with them. That's probably gotta like suck even more, that you know that your family's in the arena and you can't even like, you know, give them a hug or say hi to them. So I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And plus a lot of family, like the family of these players, they probably don't even live in Toronto or Edmonton. So they'd have to make a trip all the way here to come watch their family play.
And that's the thing, we're almost halfway through this. So why stop now?
Exactly.
You're just like, teams are just going to start dwindling from here, of course, because you're eliminating more teams. So players are going to start to go home to their families sooner rather than later, except for those 2 and 4 really great teams. And I think that if they're really devoted to winning the Stanley Cup, then yeah, they should have to stick it out. And they committed to doing this for the safety of the rest of the players, the staff of the league, hotels, whatever. And they need to stick to it.
I mean, we've mentioned this before. It's really hard for these players not being without their family and their friends. And one thing that stuck out to me that the NBA did, or in particular the Raptors did, I don't know if you guys saw it, but they did a video of the family, their family members, like their kids and their wives announcing the starting lineup. That would be something cool to see in the NHL.
Yeah, that was really adorable. That was really sweet. And also my thing was that, like, okay, I can understand the NBA, like, inviting family members, like maybe, you know, like the wife and your children, but, you know, what classifies a long life friend? Because I was reading and like they're not allowed to bring their girlfriends. Like if it's just a girlfriend or something, they're not allowed to come. But like, can't you say your girlfriend is your long life friend?
Wouldn't it be more important to have your girlfriend with you than
your buddy?
Yeah. Than a buddy? Yeah. What?
Like,
I mean, maybe we're just saying that because we're girls, but still, like, come on.
But still, like, okay, like if you don't have a girlfriend and like you have like a really close personal friend that's like mentored you and like helped you throughout your career, like, okay, cool, like I see that kind of working, but like I just still don't understand the dynamic, especially with majority of these basketball players are still fairly young, which means their kids are also fairly young. They're probably toddlers, younger than toddlers. So how can you even like control toddlers running around Disneyland, you know, trying to contain them, trying to keep them in a bubble in a hotel when they can barely stay put in a house? I just don't feel like I just don't NBA's thinking, especially with them kind of doing well with like, you know, their testing and like players testing negative. I just don't understand how this would work. And I know we're not an NBA podcast, but like still to see how like the different leagues work, it blows my mind that they would introduce something like this, especially when the playoffs are already underway and the players are already mentally in check. I feel like that just distracts them. And I feel like if the NHL did something like this, it would completely distract them from whatever goal they already had set, because then they also have to worry about their family and if they're safe and if they're accommodated in the hotel and if they're going to be doing fine in the bubble. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, even if the families are given the option to be able to watch some of these games or some of their family members play, I wonder how many of those families would actually take the risk and go to a game, even when they're given the option. I don't think that many would.
I wouldn't. If I was in that position, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I'd be like, sorry, you're doing great, but no thanks.
I can support you at home.
Especially in the NBA, where other players from other teams are allowed to sit in to watch like other games. So I feel like that's just like even worse. Like I just don't know why you would want to surround yourself with people that you haven't been around. And especially in the NHL where like, yes, of course there's more space because they're actually using full-blown stadiums. In the NBA they're using like makeshift courts. it's still, you can notice when there's a couple people in a really empty big stadium. So can you imagine seeing little kids there and you're playing the game and you can hear noises because it's like you can like hear a pin drop in the stadium. It'd be completely distracting. It might be easier in the NBA because, like I said, they have the virtual fans there. They have other players from other teams watching. I don't know. I just don't feel like this is going to be a good idea.
I just think it's really unnecessary.
Yeah, I also don't see it happening in the NHL.
It's just way
Like,
too
no
risky.
way.
It's just way too risky. Like, not only are you risking the players, you're risking their family members, you're risking the staff. And my main thing is that if they did it in the NHL, they're mainly going to be risking the players because they've been testing negative for like how long now. And not only because of COVID, but because they're in that mental headspace. And we all know how NHL players get. They're so serious and they're so like in tune with the game. And so I feel like bringing in their family members, it'll just be like game over. I feel like nobody would get any work done.
Yeah, even with the league as a whole, because they've done an exceptional job so far with the test, I don't think they would want to risk that streak of being with 0 positive tests. I don't think they would even risk, like destroying that, because they've been a model for so many other leagues, and so many other leagues are looking up to the NHL and what they've been doing and how great they've been.
So I actually have a question for you guys. Surprise question. Woo!
Whoa.
I want to know, because now that you've seen what the first round kind of holds for all of these teams and players, I want to know who your Stanley Cup champion picks are.
Okay. Let me think. You put me on the spot here.
I have mine. I know
I
mine.
I have mine.
And I know who Grace's is. I don't know who Alessia's is because she's unpredictable. Especially because I've never met a fan like Leafs fans, like we hate on our team and like, we're critical on them, but I've never seen someone so critical but also so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not offensive, but like straight to the point. It's like she knows what needs to get done in order for her team to like get through, and that's Alessia. Like I've never seen someone who's actually so critical of a team, but like says it in a way where it's like she's telling them what to do.
I think it's just because she hates Marc Bergevin so much.
That's very true.
Okay, I wouldn't say I hate him. I don't like some of the things and some of the trades he's done in the past. But I don't know. I've always been a fan. Like I love the Canadians. I've been a fan for so long. But when I see something I don't like and I know there has to be changes made, I'll say it straight up. I'm not that fan. I'm gonna be like, yeah, everything's great. Like, that meme where it's like that person and it's like fire everything's like, everything's fine. No, everything's.
Oh my God, the meme that represents my life.
Yeah, don't you have it on your
favorite
laptop?
Meme?
I do.
That one. Like Marjorie said, I am critical of the team. I'm not going to be like, yeah, like let's go Habs. Everything's amazing. No, like there's always changes that need to be made.
So that's why I never know what's going on in Alessia's mind, because some days she's like, for the Habs, and other days she's just screaming. So sometimes I just like to let her be because I don't want to get caught in her little rampage. In her rampage, I don't want her to like just one day crack. I'm just scared one day she's gonna crack on us. One day, Marc Bergevin is gonna do something, and Alessia's just gonna I don't even know what's gonna happen until. Yeah, I think so. So I think I know who Grace's pick is. It's probably okay. Let me guess.
Okay.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. The Knights.
Yes and no.
Oh wow!
Oh, really?
That's a surprise.
So for the Stanley Cup Final, I have Tampa Bay and the Golden Knights.
Okay, not bad.
But
I'm
think
good with
that Tampa's going to take it over the Golden Knights.
Okay. My
Hold on.
matchup would be
Come on, MJ. We stalled for like 5 minutes here.
Okay. I think even though Dallas is leading that series against the Flames, I really like how the Flames have been playing. So if they can pull through against Dallas, I would love to see the Flames against Tampa Bay. I definitely think Tampa Bay would be the team coming out of the East. I definitely think the Knights have it in them to get to the final, but I would love to see the Flames in the final.
Oh my God. Can we just talk about how they played Marc-Andre Fleury for the first time these playoffs and I missed it?
Oh my God, you actually missed it.
I was in the bush. So I was in Northern Ontario, right? So we went camping for the weekend. So I didn't even get to see it. I got cell service for a brief 10 minutes and I checked my phone and they were like, Flowers in net. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
It's like they knew that you weren't going to be watching.
The one weekend I'm not watching hockey.
And it's like, let's do this for Grace. But either way, we all love Marc-Andre Fleury here. That's no, I guess that's no secret. I mean, how can you not love him? But it would be nice. It would be nice to either see the Knights. I feel like the Knights definitely have been playing pretty well. But like I said, the Flames for me, and I'm sticking with you, Grace, with Tampa.
Okay, Alessia, who do you got?
So, okay, what do you guys think is my okay,
Let us
who's gonna win?
Okay, let's
Not
guess.
who's gonna win, but who
The matchup.
the matchup.
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna take the Habs.
No.
No, I definitely don't think she would ever take the Habs.
No, never.
No.
But
when I know the team is good, then I'll say the team is good. Right now, they don't have the depth to go far.
I don't know who your pick would be.
Okay, let me guess. I'm gonna say you're choosing Colorado for the West. I don't know why it's in my head that but I'm just gonna say Colorado. Okay. And I'm gonna say you're gonna stick with maybe the Flyers.
How the heck did you guess that? You got that correct. I have
what?
Colorado. I have Colorado and the Flyers for the Stanley Cup matchup. And
that's hilarious.
Win it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Good job, Maryuri.
I kind of thought you were gonna take Colorado, but I wasn't sure. But then for the East, I thought you were going to take Boston.
Huh. Why would I choose Boston as a Habs fan?
Yeah. Great.
Because sometimes you hate the Habs.
No.
Why do you guys think I hate them so much? I'm just very critical of the moves that they made because they've been great.
I have no idea why I thought you would choose Colorado, but I saw Colorado and I was like, I feel like that's just the team she would choose. I mean, they've been playing pretty good.
They've been playing good. I believe they're up in the series against the Coyotes 3-1.
Philip Grubauer has been an amazing goaltender for the Avalanche. Even though Arizona hasn't been the best, he still has been a pretty good goaltender for them, in that matchup. And then I said the Flyers because we always talk about the Flyers, and you've seen them the most, especially in that Habs series. And you always talk about how you really think they have potential, especially with, you guessed it, Carter Hart in net. So I don't know. I was like, let me see this matchup.
Yeah, I mentioned it I think I mentioned it last episode as well. Even before the first round of the playoffs, I don't know. I just had a gut feeling that the Flyers would go far. I just like the way they play. They're skilled, but they also have that gritty side to them. So depending on which side they play during games, it can offset a team and they can take the win. And then Carter Hart, you guys obviously know, we just absolutely love him. And he's just been a rock in net for the Flyers. But yeah, that's the matchup that I have. But I have the Avalanche winning.
I would love to see the Flyers versus Tampa just to see how they would battle out against each other, because Tampa has such a good offense, and to see that against Carter Hart would be really, really cool to see. But you having the Avalanche winning, that's interesting, because I would have never had said that the Avalanche would be winning this year. I don't know how you feel, Grace.
I wouldn't either. That is so far from anything I would have predicted.
Yeah, that's such a random pick. Can you explain to us why you think the Avalanche would win?
I don't know. I don't know why all season I've just had a gut feeling about this Avalanche team. Probably because I really like the way Cale Makar is played, and they have McKinnon as well. So yeah. Even Vancouver.
And for once, Kadri is actually producing.
Yeah.
Marjorie, shut up. Actually,
a player that the Leafs would have definitely like to have this
Oh,
season.
good. It's just a curse. But
Wait,
yeah, the
I don't
Canucks
wanna
too.
talk about the Leafs anymore, guys.
But yeah, like Grace, like Alessia was saying, another underestimated series that we had was, like I said before, the Canucks versus Blues. The Canucks would be another interesting team to see because they also have a pretty young team, and Bo Horvat has actually proved to be a really good leader for that team. But I don't know.
Hughes too.
I don't know. Like with that series, ever since Jake Allen came back in net and they've tied this series, I feel like that just turns everything on its head. Just because the Canucks, I guess, were already in a zone where they're like, okay, I think we've got this, especially. And I feel like you always have that mentality when you're winning against, last year's champions. So to see St. Louis kind of be like, hold on, we're not done yet. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be kind of hard for the Canucks to kind of like get back to that mind space, but I think they have the players that will help them lead them over the Blues. I don't know. I feel like it'd be nice to see Tampa win the cup just because they've always been such a good team, but they can never go far. It's just something that they can't seem to like do. So it'd be nice to actually see them win the cup. But I don't know. It'd be nice to see like some underdog teams win the cup, like the Avalanche, who we probably wouldn't have predicted, or maybe a Canadian team like the Flames. I don't know.
Yeah, if it were to be a Canadian team, I think the Flames are my choice as well. I know
I
you
don't
said that
know
too.
what it is. I don't like the Calgary Flames.
Really?
Why?
Is it because of Kachuk?
No, I actually kind of like Matthew Tkachuk.
I do too.
Like, he's not on my I don't like that player list. But I don't like the Calgary Flames.
I just like that they've been playing pretty well. Like, they've been like producing really great goals, and like they've just been playing really great games, especially that series with Dallas. That's been a pretty good like back and forth series. So I don't know. I feel like I like them.
Yeah.
I like them because they have that like ability to play really good games, and like it keeps you intrigued and interested in the series. But I don't know.
They are consistent, and I can give them that. I will give them that they are a good hockey team. But personally, I do not like them.
And here we talk about our own biased opinion.
Yay!
I don't know. That was a good question. You really,
Yeah, that
really
was
made
a
me
good question.
think. I've never really predicted or like ever have guessed, the two final teams. So for me to kind of like just randomly guess teams, I hope I'm right.
I know. I don't know. I just have I don't even watch the Avalanche like a whole lot, but when I see like Cale Makar play, McKinnon play, Grubauer, I'm like, it's a good team, It's some like they could be like kind of like an underdog going in because you got Tampa, Philly, all those other teams. Even I don't know, Columbus too, but I don't know. Tampa could do something. Definitely, I can see Tampa doing something in this playoffs.
Ever since Nick Foligno said that he promised his kids that he was going to be coming back home with the cup, I was like, dude, you just jinxed your whole entire team.
Yeah, never mind the wraparound jinx.
Oh,
I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't say that. I'm like, okay, it's nice to like, be like, speaking out goals and like manifesting. We're big about manifesting here.
Oh, Marjorie and I manifest something once a day.
Like, and it might not work, but we still do it. We still do it just in case it does work one day. But I don't know, ever since he had said that that's what he told his kids, I was like, no. It's like, that's not, no. Like, what happens if you don't win? What happens if you don't win?
Yeah, tell your kids that, that's fine. But don't tell the media that you told your kids that.
Yeah, like, keep that a secret. Like, let's not, like, give the media even more to, like, talk about. Especially in Toronto. Especially where you're playing. Like, the media is ruthless down here.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I kind of feel like he kind of jinxed that.
Watch all our predictions that we said for the cup. Just not one of them make it because we said it.
And look, we were talking about as if though that they still had a chance. Tampa won in overtime. So, Columbus is out.
Tampa's gonna win. Okay,
So-
if none of our predictions come true, we're making t-shirts that say the wraparound jinx on them.
Oh yeah, I'm totally down for that. That'd be like, I think that's our new saying.
If anybody
That's how we're
wants
gonna
to
promote the
special
show now.
order a t-shirt, send us a message because you know
No.
we're gonna have to get them.
Like NHL teams, hit us up if you want to win. We'll say that you're gonna lose,
Yeah.
and then you'll win. There we go. We have a new business.
We spoke so highly of Columbus in the past episodes because they were against the Leafs, and now look what happened. That's
Yeah,
already.
That's the worst part though. Like if you're gonna beat my team, you better go win the cup and they're out in the next round. And kind of like pathetically too.
Yeah, like just like I know Tampa's a good team, but like
They're not that good.
they played well against, Columbus played well against the Leafs, and to see them lose the series 4-1, only win one game,
Trash.
that's
I
pretty
know.
poo-poo in my books. So now we have two teams gone. So bye-bye Columbus and bye-bye Chicago, which is another team we also spoke very highly and then we had high hopes for. But once again, on this show, there's many surprises. I was thinking that, like, I don't know. I was hoping that the Canes would play better against Boston, but, like, I don't know. It makes me sad.
I know. It's
I
true.
wanted them to win. They were another one of my hopefuls. So, I don't know. Let's see who else gets booted out, especially with that Montreal-Philly game. As Grace always says, you guys will always know after listening to this, because it's hard to kind of talk about games, especially when there's games going on as we're recording this.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of predict. I feel like let's blame it on that. That's why it's hard to predict, because there's so many
that's
games.
Our whole problem.
Yeah.
It's not
The
that
NHL
we
needs
really
to
know
work
how to
around
jinx
us.
ourselves. So on Thursday's schedule, we have the Stars and the Flames, the Islanders and the Capitals, and then depending on how tonight's Boston-Carolina game goes, there may be a Bruins versus Hurricanes tomorrow. But all of these times are to be determined, so they haven't been decided yet.
And those are all pretty exciting games, especially because, like we said, the Stars-Flames series is pretty tight. Right now, the Stars have the edge with the 3-2 lead. The Islanders and the Capitals, I don't know. The Islanders are still up 3-1, so.
But I don't know. We don't think they're going to beat them.
I'm not going to say anything right now. I don't want to make myself look any sillier than we already have. And then with the Bruins Hurricanes game, you guys will know if there's a game or not. So it was a pretty good show this week. I mean, we started off pretty serious there, not going to lie, but, we had our facts straight this week.
Yeah, Maryuri didn't ask us the age of any players. That was nice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not even gonna say anything. That's because I just can't. But there's gonna be lots to talk about next week. There's gonna be lots of new playoff matchups and lots more predictions that we're probably gonna get wrong. Hopefully, we can get one right at least.
Don't discredit us. We're doing our best.
We're doing our
Again,
best.
it's the NHL's fault for not working around us. It's their fault.
Exactly.
It's their fault. Either way, guys, thanks again for listening this week. I hope you guys had fun listening to us. We always have fun talking and producing these shows for you guys. So once again, keep your sticks on the ice and your heels on the dance floor.